Research Methods in Education, Chapter 3. Critical Educational Research. Structure of the chapter. Critical Theory and Critical Educational Research. Ideology critique. Criticisms of approaches from critical theory. Participatory research and critical theory. Feminist research. Post-colonial theory and queer theory. Critical theoretical approaches. Ideology critique, feminist research, participatory research, participatory action research, critical ethnography, post-colonial theory, critical race theory, political research, queer theory. Common themes in critical approaches, macro and micro. Equality, power, freedom, democracy, emancipation, social justice, interest. Habermas knowledge constitutive interest, technical interest, prediction and control. Hermeneutics practical interest, understanding and interpretation. Emancipatory interest, emancipation and freedom. Ideology critique, describe existing situation, understand reason for causes of existing situation, interrogate legitimacy of the reason and causes of an interest at work in the existing situation, set an agenda to improve the situation. Critics of critical theory. Critical theory and ideology critique might not be empowering or promote equality, freedom, democracy, emancipation. Habermas' knowledge constitutive interests are artificially separated. The link between ideology critique and emancipation is neither clear nor proven, nor a logical necessity. The rationality appeal of ideology critique actually obstructs action designed to bring about emancipation. Critical theory has a deliberate political agenda, but the task of the researcher is not to be an ideologue or to have an agenda, but to be dispassionate, disinterested, and objective. Feminist research. The asymmetry of gender relations and representation must be studied reflexively. Women's issues, their history, biography, and biology feature a substantive agenda focus in research. Raising of consciousness of oppression, exploitation, empowerment, equality, voice and representation. Challenge the acceptability and notion of objectivity and objective research. Substantive, value-laden dimensions and purposes of feminist research are paramount. Research must empower women. Research need not only be taken by academic experts. We must collectivize their own individual histories if they are to appropriate these histories for emancipation. Commitment to revealing core process and recurring features of women's oppression. Insistence on the inseparability of theory and practice. Insistence on the connections between the private and the public, between the domestic and the political. Concern with the construction and reproduction of the gender and sexual difference. Rejection of narrow disciplinary boundaries. Rejection of the artificial subject, researcher dualism. Rejection of positivism and objectivity as male mythology. increased use of qualitative, introspective biographical research techniques, recognition of the gendered nature of social research, and the development of anti-sexist research strategies. The research process as a conscious and awareness raising and as fundamentally participatory. Primacy of women's personal subjective experience, rejection of hierarchies in social research. The vertical hierarchical relationships of researchers, research community, and research objects, in which the research itself is an instrument of domination and the reproduction and legitimation of power elites, must be replaced by research that promotes the interests of dominated, oppressed, exploited groups. Recognition of equal status and reciprocal relationships between subjects and researchers. Needed to change the status quo, not just to understand or interpret it. Research as a process of conscientization to empower oppressed participants. Post-colonial theory, after effects or continuation of ideologies and discourses of imperialism, domination, and repression value systems. For example, the domination of Western values and the delegitimization of non-Western values. After effect of colonialism on the daily life experiences of participants, regard in which peoples in post-colonial societies are held, valorization of multiple voices and heterogeneity in post-colonial societies, resistance to marginalization of groups within post-colonial societies, construction of identities in a post-colonial world. Queer theory. Queer theory explores the social construction and privileging or denial of identities, sexual behavior, deviant behavior, and the categorizations and ideologies involved in such constructions. How pairing queer stories acquires its meaning from its opposition or relation to the norm. Queer is by definition whatever is at odds with the normal, the legitimate, the dominant. Queer story explores, problematizes, interrogates gender, sexuality, and also their mediation by other characteristics or forms of oppression. For example, social class, ethnicity, color, disability. Value neutrality in educational research. Should educational researchers be objective, value neutral, non-partisan, unbiased, and strictly disinterested, providing a service in putting forward factual evidence, data, and explanations on such a matter? Or is it acceptable for them to declare their values, biases, and interests and then proceed from there, acting on those commitments? Should researchers be partisan or non-partisan, committed or disinterested? Is the job of researchers only to provide evidence and explanation, or does it extend into promoting political agendas? Should the researchers press their own political agendas, values, and views? Should the research concern itself only with the pursuit and production of facts and knowledge and not play politics, recognizing that this does not preclude relevant research? For example, topics that may be of concern to certain parties. If politics and research are not the same, it is illegitimate for the researcher to let a political agenda enter into to bias the conduct of and conclusions from research. By not addressing consequences and implications, Researchers allow the status quo of inequality, social injustice, and oppression to be perpetuated. So it is incumbent on researchers not to hide behind putative value neutrality, since, in fact, such research is not value neutral, but reinforces the dominant ideology and the interest of the powerful. Thank you. See you next chapter.